There's something they don't tell you about turning 50. Something quiet, something that settles in your chest like the last notes of a song you thought you'd forgotten. It's not about endings. It's about the beginning of knowing who you are when no one's watching, when the lights dim and the mirror reflects back not what you were, but what you've become. And sometimes, grace begins at your feet. I remember standing in my closet one morning, 6 months past my 50th birthday, staring at a collection of shoes that suddenly felt like relics from someone else's life. The stilettos I'd worn like armor in my 30s. The uncomfortable flats I'd convinced myself were practical. The trendy boots I'd bought because someone said I should. All of them whispering the same question. Who were you trying to be? That's when I understood. Confidence after 50 isn't about transformation. It's about translation. Taking everything you've learned, everything you've survived, and letting it speak through the smallest choices, through the way you walk into a room, through the shoes that carry you there. So let me share what I've learned, not as rules, but as whispers from one traveler to another. 1. The classic leather loafer, your daily declaration. There's poetry in simplicity, and the leather loafer understands this better than most. Not the borrowed from the boys kind, though those have their place, but the ones crafted with intention, with a slight heel that says you're going somewhere that matters, even if that somewhere is just through your own front door. I found mine in a small shop in Florence, or maybe Florence found me. Rich cognac leather that would soften with time, like the edges of memory. They were expensive, more than I'd ever spent on shoes, but standing there, feeling the weight of them in my hands, I realized I was done apologizing for taking up space. These loafers became my uniform. With tailored trousers, they whispered authority. With cropped jeans, they suggested ease. And on the mornings when getting dressed felt like assembling armor for an invisible battle, they were the piece that made everything else make sense. 2. The ankle boot with a block heel. Your steady ground. Balance becomes a metaphor after 50, doesn't it? Not just physical, though that matters too. The way your center of gravity shifts, the way stairs require a different kind of attention, but emotional balance. Spiritual balance, the kind that lets you stand firm when the ground beneath you trembles. The ankle boot with a block heel is that balance made tangible, sturdy enough to feel rooted, elevated enough to remind you that you've risen. The leather or suede hugs your ankle like a promise. I've got you. I wore mine through a winter when everything felt uncertain, through job transitions and family upheavals, and the quiet earthquake of watching my children become strangers who occasionally visited. Each step in those boots was a declaration, not of having all the answers, but of trusting myself to figure them out. Pair them with flowing dresses to soften the edges, or with structured blazers when you need to feel invincible. They're versatile that way, like resilience itself. Number 3, the pointed toe flat, your quiet sophistication. Not every day calls for height. Some days you want to feel connected to the earth, to move through the world with the quiet confidence of someone who has nothing left to prove. The pointed toe flat is elegant without effort. It elongates the leg with a whisper rather than a shout. In soft leather or supple suede, in black or nude, or that perfect shade of burgundy that makes you think of wine and autumn and the richness of time passing slowly. I remember my grandmother wearing shoes like these, her feet always impeccable even when the rest of her was gardening worn and flower dusted. She moved through life with the kind of grace that didn't need announcement, and now I understand. It was never about the shoes themselves. It was about choosing shoes that let you be fully present, fully you. They work with everything. Cropped pants that show just enough ankle, midi skirts that dance when you walk, even jeans when you want casual to feel intentional. 4, the sculptural heel, your occasional armor. Let me be clear. I'm not suggesting you need heels to feel powerful, but there's something about the right heel, on the right day, that transforms not just your posture, but your entire relationship with a room. After 50, that heel should be sculptural. Architectural, a work of art that happens to support your body, 2 to 3 inches, high enough to shift your perspective, low enough that you're not performing femininity, you're inhabiting it on your terms. I save mine for moments that matter, for the dinner where I want to feel celebrated, not accommodating, for the presentation where I need to remember that my voice carries weight, for the evening when I catch my reflection in a window and think, yes, this is who I am now. In jewel tones or metallics, in smooth leather or unexpected textures, these heels aren't about pleasing anyone. They're about the small thrill of choosing beauty for its own sake. The 5, the minimalist sneaker, your permission to move. We've come a long way from sneakers being relegated to the gym or the grocery store. Now, they're a statement, especially the minimalist ones in buttery leather, pristine white or muted gray, with clean lines and no logos screaming for attention. These aren't the shoes of trying too hard to be young. They're the shoes of someone who's earned the right to comfort, who understands that staying in motion matters more than staying in character. I walk 3 miles most mornings now, and these sneakers carry me through neighborhoods I've lived in for decades, but somehow never really saw. Past houses where lives unfold behind curtained windows. Through parks where light filters through leaves in ways that make me stop and simply breathe. Style them with everything. Midi dresses with blazers, wide-leg trousers, denim on denim. Let them be the reminder that grace includes the freedom to move through your life unencumbered. 6. The Slingback. Your nod to the past, redefined. There's something vintage-inspired about the Slingback, something that whispers of women who came before us, who navigated their own versions of 50 with whatever tools they had. But the modern Slingback has evolved. Lower heels, cushioned footbeds, straps that actually stay in place. I love the way they frame the ankle, that small revelation of skin that feels both modest and somehow intimate. They bridge the gap between sandal and pump, between casual and formal, between who you were and who you're becoming. In patent leather for a touch of shine, in matte suede for texture, in classic black or daring red, the Slingback is your bridge shoe, the one that works for the afternoon meeting and the evening drinks, the one that reminds you that contradictions can coexist beautifully. Verse 7. The Mary Jane, your reclaimed sweetness. Here's what they don't tell you about getting older. You're allowed to reclaim the parts of yourself you thought you had to outgrow. The playfulness, the whimsy, the sweetness that the world sometimes tried to harden out of you. The modern Mary Jane isn't childish, it's knowing. With a chunky heel or platform sole, in glossy leather or rich velvet, it's a shoe that understands irony and embraces it. The strap across the instep feels secure, grounding, like a gentle hand reminding you that you're held. I wear mine with midi skirts and dark tights, with cropped trousers and bold socks peeking through. Each time, I feel a small rebellion, a refusal to be only one thing, only serious, only age-appropriate according to someone else's rules. 8. The Chelsea boot, your all-weather confidence. Some shoes are workhorses, and we should celebrate that. The Chelsea boot, with its elastic side panels and sleek silhouette, is the shoe that says you're ready for whatever the day brings. Rain or shine, triumph or challenge. There's no fussing with laces, no complicated buckles, just slip them on and go. The ankle height provides coverage without bulk, and the slight heel gives you just enough lift to feel purposeful. I've walked through city streets and country roads in mine, through seasons of grief and seasons of unexpected joy. They've been splashed with rain and dusted with snow, and somehow always looked intentional. In black leather, they're classic. In tan or oxblood, they're conversation starters. Pair them with everything from jeans to dresses. They're the shoes that remind you that confidence often looks like simple readiness. The Strappy sandal, your summer declaration. Even after 50, especially after 50, you deserve shoes that make you feel beautiful in the uncomplicated way of warm sun on skin, of evenings that stretch long and languid. The Strappy sandal, with its delicate leather bands and modest heel, is summer embodied. Not the kind that cuts into your feet or requires constant adjustment, but the kind that feels like an extension of you, that shows off the pedicure you got, not for anyone else, but because painted toes make you smile. I remember the first time I wore strappy sandals post-50, worried someone would think I was trying too hard. Then I caught my reflection and realized no one was looking at my feet with judgment. They were simply seeing someone who moved through the world with the ease of accepting herself, with dresses, with cropped pants, with skirts that dance in the breeze. These sandals are your reminder that grace includes joy, includes the sensory pleasure of feeling air between your toes. 10. The statement mule, your exit and entrance. And finally, the mule. Backless, bold, the shoe that requires you to change your gait slightly, to be more deliberate with each step. It's the shoe of entrances and exits, of women who know that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is leave. In velvet or satin, in unexpected colors, or with embellishment that catches light, the mule is your permission to be seen. Not desperate to be noticed, but comfortable with the fact that you take up space, that your presence registers. I slip mine on for the evenings when I want to feel like the main character in my own life. For dinners with old friends, where we tell the same stories but find new meaning in them. For the moments alone when I pour wine and put on music and remember that companionship with yourself is its own kind of grace. There's a moment, you'll know it when it comes, when you realize that confidence after 50 isn't something you achieve. It's something you finally stop resisting. It's the quiet acceptance that you've earned every line, every scar, every knowing glance at yourself in the mirror. And sometimes, that acceptance begins with the simple act of choosing shoes that let you walk through your life as though you deserve to be here, because you do. Each step, a declaration. Each choice, a reclamation. Each shoe, a small rebellion against the notion that grace has an expiration date. It doesn't. It just learns over time to walk a little slower, a little steadier, a little more like it knows exactly where it's going, even if where it's going is simply forward, into the next beautiful, unknown moment of being exactly, powerfully, magnificently yourself.